The proper screening of refugees. I'm Brian Lilley with TheRebel.media. By now, you've heard of the victory, of sorts, for those of us calling for sanity, for those of us calling for a refugee pause. The Liberal government under Justin Trudeau had promised to bring 25,000 Syrian refugees to Canada by the end of December. Their plan was so ad hoc they didn't know what they were doing, and at one point said, well, don't worry about security screening. We can do that when they get here. We'll do it on military bases once they arrive. That was the plan put forward by Liberal Immigration Minister John McCallum in several interviews. Well, that didn't sit well with many Canadians. It's why tens of thousands of you signed our petition at RefugeePause.ca, calling for the safety and security of Canadians to be put ahead of this refugee rush. You were also concerned that this wasn't the right way to do things. We commissioned a poll funded by you, our viewers, and found that across the country, the majority of Canadians said, we don't like this idea. The poll shows that 58% across the country think it's a bad idea. In Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, that number goes north of 60%, saying, we don't like the idea of screening refugees once they arrive in Canada. Now, the Liberal government has actually given in to public opinion on this matter. Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale explaining that the security screening will be done before anyone gets on a plane.
Before anyone gets on a plane to come to Canada, the security screening will be completed, fully completed, overseas. If there is any doubt about an application or an interview or any of the data, the file will simply be put aside and held for further consideration at a later time.
Now, one of the promises Goodale is making is that if there are any red flags raised during the screening process, well, they're not going to follow up on those red flags. They're just going to set that application aside and say, nope, you're not getting on the plane. We'll look at this later. But during this still crammed period, this still refugee rush, if you have any red flags, you're not getting on. Look, I still have questions about this refugee process, but let's celebrate what is a victory and then continue to push for more sanity. We won on this one. They've backed off the rush. They're slowing down to a degree. But there are questions that remain, including, will the government be vetting for ideology? If you believe in sharia law and honor killings and think that should be brought with you to Canada, will you get on the plane? If you back ISIS, and up to 13% of those in the Syrian refugee camps told the Doha Institute they support ISIS, 31% said they're against degrading ISIS. Are those people going to get on the plane? These are real issues that we have to consider. These are real questions that need to be answered still. We've made the Liberal government listen so far. Maybe we can do it again. We haven't stopped asking questions, and we're not about to give up the fight. I doubt you are either.